Place the short end of your mat against a wall and stand in the middle of the mat in mountain pose. Focus on your legs. Make them press together and reach down. Press through the heels as you spread the toes. Pull up the kneecaps. Feel the length of the back of the legs, hamstrings, back of the knees, calf muscles, back of the heels. Let your tailbone be pulled by the trajectory of the legs. From that anchor, lengthen the waist. Sharpen the fingers as they press together and lengthen through the wrist and the elbow. Let the arms draw into the broadness of the chest, both back, front, and sides. Let the neck be loose. Gaze over the tip of your nose. Even though the pose is strong, breathe easy. Place your hands 4 inches from the wall. Kick up to handstand. Get the same action of your legs that you had in mountain pose, except press through the mound of the big toe. Gaze down at the index fingers and reach the arms long. As the arms reach, lift the legs and the pelvis off the lower back. Breathe easy. The breath may be fast, but let it flow through the body. Focus your eyes on your index fingers. Relax the face. The head is lifted in a back bend, but the legs project off the lower back. Easy breathing. Make the back body long. Firm the shoulder blades into the rib cage. Press the hands down. Notice your breathing. Bring one leg down to the ground. Stand back in mountain pose. Take your hands to your hips and come forward into standing forward bend. Pulse the legs. Bring them together and down. Float the pelvis on the thighs. Reach your arms to pull the torso away from the pelvis. The neck is easy. The shoulder blades are broad. The collarbones are broad. Gaze at the legs. Make sure the breath is not being impeded in the belly. Situate the pose so the breath flows all the way down into the legs and all the way back out through the chest. Notice the small fluctuations of balance, the beat of your heart, the breath of your lungs. Inhale, look forward, take the hands on the hips, come back up to mountain pose. Place a block flat on the ground, long end against the wall. Kick up to elbow balance, forearm stand. Legs come together strongly. Gaze at the thumbs. Keep reaching the legs further up the wall. Lengthen the pose as much as possible. From that length, let the breath flow. Press the index finger and the thumb side of the hand down strongly. Draw the elbows towards each other. Press down through the forearms. Draw the lower ribs towards the back body. Reach the heels even further up the wall. Even though the head is lifted, relax the eyes. Relax the skin of the forehead. See if you can stay the whole minute, breathing easy. If not, come down and rest in child's pose. Very slowly come down. Come back to standing, mountain pose. Hands to the hips, narrow the hip points and fold forward into standing forward bend. Feel the broadness of your back body, including the heel bone, the calf muscle, the back of the knee, the hamstrings, the sacrum, the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, the back of the neck, the back of your skull, a broadness to the back body. Feel like the front body is empty, the front of the ankle, deep inside the groin, the belly, the throat, the armpit. Pierce the legs longer. Suture them together. Let them be a perfect, strong foundation for the pelvis to float and release into the spine. Soft eyes. Inhale. Come to the front of your mat and then walk back to downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, sustaining the pose. Feel how you want to make small movements, but you're going to really hold the pose steady in between the 2 feet and the 2 hands. The main movement comes from your breath and your heart and your digestive system. The legs and the arms are suspending the torso, all the way from your sitting bones to the collarbones. Supported by the arms and the legs, suspended so that breathing is completely easy. The index finger lengthens. The root of the thumb presses. The elbow elongates. Walk forward between your hands. Look forward and then spill again forward into standing forward bend. You'll notice now you can even lengthen the legs more. The back of the legs are beginning to open up. The heel bone is beginning to stand on the ground. As your heel bone presses, the toes spread open. And yet the ankle lifts up and tapers from the platform of the feet. As the knee lifts, your quadricep draws all the way up into the groin and the hip crease. The very top of your thigh narrows like the ankle. So there's a lightness. And then the spine cascades forward into the weight of the head, and the arms slightly drawing the rib cage down alongside the head. Sit in Vajrasana and prepare for headstand. Interlace the fingers. With both feet, kick up in the headstand. Shirshasana 1. Glue the legs together. Press the wrist and the forearms down and broaden the shoulders. On the exhalation, headstand 2, tripod headstand. Really feel the axes of the legs right down through the crown of the head. Press the hands flush into the ground as the arms plug back into the shoulder blades. The upper arms are parallel. Feel the tripod between the head and the hands. Utilize headstand 2 to really find the center, keeping the neck broad and open, but also agile. Everything is strong and yet responsive to the small movements of your weight around and into and through center. Notice how the legs are right over the crown of your head. Keep articulating that center. A strong, firm base. Notice the breath. Notice the gaze. If this at all is difficult on your neck, come down soon. For those who can, keep maintaining headstand 2. Broad back, strong legs, responsive and yet supportive arms and hands. Keep going inside and feeling that central axis. It's one of the few poses that we can really find center. Crown of the head, tip of the tailbone, inner front heels. Those who are more advanced, on your exhalation, return to headstand 1. Staying in headstand 1, interlacing the fingers strongly. Bring the knees towards the chest and come down. Child's pose with the arms extended. Rest the head. Notice the exhalation. As the arms reach forward, keep teasing the waist long. The body's folded deeply, tailbone towards the heels. You feel the beautiful roundness of the spine, letting go of any tension behind the neck, in between the shoulder blades, anywhere in the lower back or the sacrum. Folding deeply at the hip joint, folding deeply at the knee joint. Rest the spine. Notice the exhalation. Notice the feeling in the neck. Any pressure that you've got in the neck during the headstand, release completely. Inhale, come to all fours. Come into a back bend and then sit on the heels in lightning pose. Heel of the hands on the top of your thighs. As you press your toes into the ground, your ankle will feel light. As that happens, press the thighs down to the rising ankles. Use this pose to really fold the knee, compressing the legs into a deep fold. Draw the waist long. Balance the head right over the heart right over the tailbone. Breathe easy. Come forward, turn the toes under, and take a squat. Knees wide, feet together. Draw the armpits down the shins. Release the head. Feel the weight of the heel bone and the tailbone and the top of your thigh bone dropping down. Counterbalance that with the release of the chest and the head. Exhaling, feeling your abdominal muscles support the front of your spine. The hands are on the ground, navigating the balance. Looking forward, lift up into Bakasana, crane pose. Straighten the arms as much as you can as you drop the tailbone and draw the belly back towards the spine. Open up the feet. Draw the body up over the wrist. Gaze forward and then slowly bend the arms and transition back to the squat. Exhale. Let the head release. Come back to lightning pose. Heel of the hands pressing the top of the thighs down. Inhale, come forward, cross your shins, and sit in cobbler's pose. Hold on to the big toes. Heels pressing together, thighs grounding, knees folding deeply. Utilize the arms to support the openness of the chest. Feel the release of the thigh bone so you get the maximum grounding deep inside the hip and also through the tailbone. Breathe down through that grounding. Notice your contact with the earth. Broad chest, Micro bend the elbows so you get the strength of the arms to support the broadness of the chest. The back of your sacrum spreads out into the knees as the heels press together. The hamstrings are a little bit on line, pulling towards the pelvis. And now spill forward into a forward bend cobbler's pose. Project the elbows forward so the arms help pull the rib cage away from the heaviness of the tailbone. Exhale, release any tension from your throat and your belly. Round the spine, feel the broadness of your shoulder blades and collarbones. Breathe easy. Even though you're in the forward bend, feel the ebb and flow of the pose. Feel a little bit of a rise on the inhale and a completion of the forward bend on your exhale. No need to force. Your breath is your conductor. Your body is following its direction, encouraging the movement and sound of the breath through the body. The mind itself is listening. Inhale, come back up. Come back into seated cobbler's pose. Bring the knees together, come to staff pose. Legs long, together, pressing against the ground, hands beside the hips, arms extended, supporting the broadness of your chest. Head right over tailbone, ground the legs. Bend the right leg and sling it over your right shoulder. Press your hands down, flex the feet, and notice how you lean your shoulder into the back of the knee. Lift up. Extend the straight leg off the ground. Use your abdominal muscles. Pressing down, breathe as easy as you can. Utilizing the bent leg to help lift the straight leg. Exhale, come back to the ground. Release the leg back to staff pose. Take the left leg over the left shoulder. On your exhalation, remember it's all a breath exercise. Place the hands down onto the ground, steady yourself. Any amount, lift up. If you can only lift the pelvis, that's fine. For those who can, lift and extend the straight leg. Lean back on the bent leg knee. Both feet are very active. Gaze with the eyes. Let the body do its work. Breathe, come down. Steady yourself on the way out. Staff pose. Long waist. Bend the legs, roll through, simple cross-legged back to lightning pose. Heel of the hands on the top of the thighs, press down. Inhale, come to all fours. Exhale, downward facing dog. Get longer in the waist. Use this downward facing dog to transition out of those arm balance forward bends and ease the abdominal muscles, the lower back muscles, and the sides of your waist open. You're not stretching so much as you're suspending. You're suspending the torso. The arms and legs are merely supports for that torso. The head is in line with the spine. So there's no drive of the head towards the ground or a lift of the head. It feels the line and the natural curves of the spine from the tailbone to the crown of the head. Plant your hands. Plant your feet. Exhale. Sit in hero's pose. If you can't sit on the ground between your feet easily, sit on a block or a folded blanket. The main aspect of this pose is it has to be easy. You don't want to strain the knees or the lower back or the front of the ankles. Come forward to all fours and come into a wide foot squat. Your arms are on the inner thighs. As you rest down on your heel bone and your legs are folding completely, move the skin of the inner knee slightly up with the scrub of your arm. Exhale, release forward, and take your shoulders underneath your knees. Exhale, place your hands back behind your feet, interlace the right ankle over the left into Bhuja Pidasana. Breathing. Move the groins back, heavy the tailbone. Extend the heels forward, even though the legs are crossed. Straighten the arms. Release from the pose, putting the feet back on the ground. Come back into the wide-footed squat. Other side. Take the shoulders under the back of your knees. Exhale. Place your hands on the ground. Walk your feet towards each other. Cross the left ankle over the right. Move the groin back, lift the feet from the ground, and extend the legs forward, keeping the ankles interlocked. Move the chin forward, still gazing over the nose. Extend the arms as much as you can, and then release the feet back to the ground. Come into the wide-footed squat again. Release forward onto your hands and knees. Come into a flexed foot lightning pose. If this is too difficult on your feet, lean forward onto your hands. This will stretch out the sole of the foot and the back of the ankle. As you press down at the top of your thigh, let the legs fold deeply and then spring the spine long. Come into standing forward bend. Place your palms underneath your feet. Bend the elbows out to the side and spread the chest wide. Make the legs even longer, so after those squats, you're lengthening the knee, pulling up the quadricep, realigning the lower leg with the upper leg. Come back to a squat. Bring the armpits down the shins. Bring the knees together and bring the left armpit on the outside of the right knee. Come forward into Parsvabhakasana, revolved crane pose. Flex the feet. Straighten the right arm as much as you can as you use your abdominal muscles to lighten the load of the knees on the left arm. Feel the twist, and then come back to center. Readjust the legs. Wait for a moment. Knees together, tailbone dropped. Heels reaching for the ground. Exhale. Bring the right armpit to the outside of the left knee. Lean onto the hands and pick up the feet. Revolved crane pose. Feeling the lightness of the torso, the work of the abdominal muscles, the strength of the arms. Breathe. The breath will be faster. It's okay. Come down. Simple squat again. Hug the knees slightly just to feel the full compression of the legs and the torso. Come forward to all fours. Downward facing dog. After folding the legs that deeply, re-lengthen the legs. Come to all fours. Come into a little bit of a back bend. Back to hero's pose. Sometimes you have to pull the skin of the knee forward and out. Take the hands on the thighs. Again, if this is difficult on your knees, sit higher. Breathe easy. Let the eyes be steady. Let the tongue relax. Feel the strength of the arms and how they support the chest. Feel the grounding of the legs and how they help root the tailbone. The energy moving down to root and the energy rising back up to float. It's always a dialogue. Don't hold the pose. Listen to the pose and adjust the pose. Place 2 blocks behind you and lie back in reclined hero's pose. Some of you will need a wall. Don't hesitate to make it easy. As you lie back, keep dropping the top of your thighs down towards the hamstring, towards the ground. With your hands and your heels, keep shimmying the body so you take weight out of the lower back and extend the waist. Let the exhale complete itself. And from that complete exhalation, notice how your body receives the inhale. So instead of taking a breath, receive the breath and then let it go. Feel the completion of both letting it go and the complete receptivity of the inhalation. The tailbone is lengthening towards the back of the knees. The thigh bones are dropping towards the hamstrings. All 10 toes are pressing down, keeping the arch of the foot active and pumping. Your heart is laying back into the thoracic spine. The neck is easy. This really lets go of the tension of the front of the legs and the deep abdominal muscles. As you learn this pose, no force. Little by little, day by day, breath by breath. Letting the head fall back, press up through the arms and lift the chest and come back to hero's pose. Set up 4 blankets. If they're thin blankets, you might need 5 or 6. The shoulders and the back body come on the blankets and the head falls off the blanket. Rolled towards plow position. For those who have tight shoulders, place a strap over the arms to keep the upper arms parallel. Shimmy the body to get up on the shoulders. Take the hands to the back of the rib cage. Gaze at the navel. The legs are pressing up to the ceiling even though the toes remain on the ground. The baby finger side of the hand presses firmly as the shoulders press down into the blanket. All of this takes place without any binding in the neck. If you're feeling undue pressure in the neck, come down. In this deep plow pose, let the thighs lift out of the lower back, noticing that the breath might be rapid because of the pressure on the diaphragm. Let it be easy, nonetheless. Lift the legs up to shoulder stand. Readjust the hands. Look up at the legs. Join the legs together and let the legs feel like they lift you off the blankets. The arms are pressing down. The hands are pressing into the back. The neck and the head are relaxed. Notice your breathing. Don't grip in the belly. Your support are your shoulders, your upper arms, and your legs. As your legs project upwards, let them pull the tailbone with them. As your arms press down, let the side of your ribs and the armpits press down also. Still get this great dimension between up and down. The legs and the tailbone going up, in this case the arms and the rib cage projecting down. The waist is long. The breath is easy. The gaze of the eyes remain on the belly. Readjust the hands every 30 seconds or so, taking them a little further down towards the shoulder blades. Readjust the legs so that you feel like the energy flows through the legs and up into the reaching heels and the mound of the big toe. But as they reach up, relax the eyes back. Relax the root of the tongue. Relax the inner ear. Relax the breath. Making the small adjustments of finding the center of the spine. And reach the legs so much that it's almost as if you're dangling the spine. The height of the blankets should be such that the back of the neck is not overstretched. Some of you will be able to do it without blankets, but don't compromise the neck to do so. The elbows press inwards towards each other. The upper torso spreads into the shoulders that are binding inward. Very slowly, lower both legs down towards plow pose. Interlace the fingers and extend the arms along the blanket. Take your strap off. Place the hands back to plow pose. Bend the legs so the knees come down to the ears and take your hands on your calf muscles. Karnapindasana. Knee to ear pose. If this is too difficult on your neck, back up. Let the back round. Let the exhalation be complete. This should feel like a good night's sleep. And very slowly roll back out and come in to Paschimottanasana, two-legged seated forward bend. Ground through the legs. Reach for the feet. Bend the elbows towards the feet as the arms pull the chest forward and slide the chest along the legs. Deepen the groin. Heavy the tailbone. Feel the smooth, round spine. This pose will force the breath back into the back body. Let that help spread the muscles away from the spine. As you strengthen the legs, empty the belly more and slide the chest forward. The head releases completely. The ribs extend along the legs. The breath moves into the tailbone and exhales still out of the chest. The breath is compressed back, and the back body feels like it's the front body expanding and releasing. Simple breathing. Keep lengthening the legs, flushing the legs into the ground. Draw the knees long. Let the hips be light. Notice your breathing. Notice where in the body the breath feels like it's getting stuck. That's where you need to make your adjustment. Slowly inhale and come up. Take a blanket and open it up. Grab the long edge of the blanket and accordion fold it. Place it right in the middle of your sticky mat, with the neat edge right in the middle of the mat. Fold the other blanket so that it's going to be a pillow for your head. Be as neat as possible. This is going to be your major support for a pranayama exercise. Don't sit on the blanket, but sit against it. And with sharp legs, lower down so the spine rests on the center of the blanket. Place the blanket so the head is lifted a little higher than the chest. Let go. Let the blankets create the support that your body needs to come back to neutral. The chest is open. The legs are dropped. The arms are open, palms facing upward. The eyes gaze down towards the heart. The bolster supports the spine. The ribs open up from that. Notice the breath. Breathe into the broadness of the back body. Breathe into the openness of the chest. Inhale into the heaviness of the legs. Let the head rest completely. As the arms drop, the collarbones will open wide from the sternum. Let go, let go, let go. Anything you feel like you accomplished, anything you feel like you got defeated from, let it go. Be free. Lie in the bolster. Be aware of all that arises and falls. The thoughts, the physical sensations, the emotions, running through the body, recognizing them, and then letting them go. until the deep stillness of the body begins to quiet the mind. As the setting sun gives way to the rising moon, the light in your body becomes reflective, quiet and calm. The breath becomes obvious. As stillness pervades the muscular body, the breathing comes to the forefront. I receive the inhale, I let go of the exhale. There's 4 components to the breath: the reception of the inhale, a pause, a suspension, a letting go of the exhale, an emptiness, a letting go. The pauses at the top of the inhale or the bottom of the exhale are minute. They're not controlled. They happen on their own. But as the mind observes them, it too begins to rest in the gaps, in the spaces. I notice as I receive the inhale, I pause, I let go of the exhale, and I pause. 4 phases of the breath. My body invites the inhale, and my heart and mind let go of the exhale. Slowly bend the legs, roll over to your right side, utilize your arms to help you sit up. Bring the hands together over the chest. Namaste.